Welcome, everybody. Sorry for a little bit of lateness today. Just some internet activity over here going a little haywire. So I'm here today, glad to be here and being able to do this show today. This is Clear Blue Radiance with myself, Brother Francis Revels-Bey, and I've been associated with Resident Essentials here since what 2015, 2017. Well, anyway, today is Thursday, June the 3rd, 2022. It's a beautiful Thursday out here, and I've been a spiritual counselor since the mid 1970s. I love helping people such as yourself have a greater sense of clarity in your life, as well as help you define and redefine your purpose in life. Well, my topic today is very interesting. It's called You Are More Than Just a Few Names. That's right, you are more than just a few names. Is it possible you have a number too? So we have a lot of names, right? We know what we're basically calling ourselves. We have our first name, we have our middle name, we have a last name, some of us. But we do have some connections to numbers that are connected to us. So what this is basically about is for you to explore some basic numerology today. And what I'm going to be doing for those of you that come on, and at the same time, I'm going to go through numbers 1 through 9 and give you just the basic meaning of those numbers. Now, one of the things that I want you to realize, this is just a basic look, okay? Next week, I'm going to do a part 2 where I'm going to explore your personal year number, the number cycle that you're in this current year, and how I go about doing that. These are some of the topics that I'm going to be sharing through this new broadcast here of Clear Blue Radiance here for Resident Essentials. So I want to be able to have you get excited, just like I am, in receiving this information. Now, I had to put on headsets today because it's a little loud outside the building and I don't want to hear too much of the banging that's going on. And I want to be able to make sure I'm engaged with you as the audience. Whether you are listening now live or coming back later, this is your opportunity uh, to be able to be on with me today. And so, as we kind of gather up here and get ready, again, this is Clear Blue Radiance. Okay. Now, you might be wondering, why am I calling it Clear Blue Radiance? Well, we're seeking clarity all the time. All of us are looking for ways to get clear mentally and get clear in the heart chakra, and the emotional body. Okay. It's blue because that happens to be my favorite color, but blue is also like this shade of blue that's connected with the throat chakra. And so blue is good for communication. Blue is good for balance. Blue is good for healing. Blue is good for speaking your truth. Blue, the color blue itself, and we're going to go in and look at colors at another time. It's also dealing with communication and peace and harmony. And so today, I'm just going to look at your birthday calendar number from 1 to 31. However, rather than going into a big stretch, we're going to break those numbers down from 1 to 9, which is the single or root digit of those numbers. And this is going to help you have a little clarity, a little understanding about the numerical day that you're born on. Now, in numerology, there are a lot of different bases that we can cover. We can look at the universal year number, such as this year, universal year is 6, but it's a 24/6, or it could be a 42/6, depending on how you choose to interpret the number, because we all have a way in which we want to look at numbers and we want to feel that we are connected to the numbers. So this is very important for ourselves to be how we're going to go about doing that. Now, also in numerology, which is basically the study of numbers, hidden numbers, numbers that seem to travel and follow you in your name, in your life. At another time, we were going to look at also numbers with addresses, because that's also highly important too. If you're kind of familiar with the address number that you are working at or living at, you will have a better understanding of the different kinds of energies that flows in and out of your residence as well as your place of work. And so we're going to be able to do that. Next week though, we'll be looking at the personal year number that we all experience. But right now, I'm going to go down the list from 1 to 9. Now, this number 1 to 9, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are the root digit numbers of also the compound numbers in any calendar going from 10 all the way up to 31. Now we know we got a couple of months in there, like April. Was it? We have we have like June, right? We have certain months that have just 30 days. So what's the phrase? April, June, and November, something like that. So those months only go from 1 to 30, but you can still break down the digits from 10 to 30 down to a single digit. You do that simply by adding the numbers up. That's what happens when you utilize numerology. Now, also, just to let you know too, I'm looking to speed this thing up, this project. I'm working on my first numerology book. So all of that information is in there, and there's different ways to look at names and dates of birth and so on and so forth, so that people can get really into it. And I'd like to say this also. I've been a numerologist for a very long time, since 1974, fresh out of college, when I graduated in June of 1974. I then, a month later, I was in New Jersey helping out one of my mother's younger brothers at the time. And not through him or not by him, but because he and I were shopping one Saturday, I came 2 Saturdays in a row, so to speak. I got in touch with numerology and reading books and so forth. And I just fell in love with it, and I kept going. And I've been now involved in numerology, I can say now, from 1974 right up to this current day, as of today, 48 years. So I've been looking at numbers, adding, subtracting numbers, squaring up numbers, you name it, I've been doing it. So, and I've been able, I would say that the universe has blessed me with this opportunity to share what I understand about numbers with people. And I've got people that I've shared it with globally. I've got people that I shared with nationally, locally, and I've been able to be on radio. In the earlier years, and with my longtime astro numerology buddy, Mr. Lloyd Strayhorn, I was on his show. I was one of his very first guests. And yes, I was his very first guest, and that was in one of the Fridays in October of 1982. That's when I was getting interviewed way back then, and I was fortunate through him to be his most popular guest, 24 guest appearances over 7 year stretch. So I know that I can share this information to you so that you can have fun with it, so that you can get a lot out of it. So let's take a stroll. What if you were born? And I'm going to give you the series of the numbers as well, so that you know and understand what I'm talking about. What if you were born on the 1st, the 10th, the 19th, or the 28th of any of the 12 months? That number, all of those numbers come under the single digit 1. Let's say you're a number 2 person. This is by your birthday calendar day. If you're a number 2 person, there's a series that goes with that. Not just the 2, but the 11, the 20, and the 29th. Now, what if you're looking at the numbers. And if you have any friends that want to join, tell your friends to tune in. Okay. So, what if you are a person born on a 3 day? That's the 3rd, the 12th, the 21st, and the 30th. Okay. So now you've got, and look, these numbers 1, 2, and 3, those numbers have what? Four different stacks of numbers, the root digit, and then the expanded numbers by just simply adding throughout the calendar. By just really, the secret number in there is 9 that you add to find out the number in series. Well, what about if you're born on the 4th, the 4 number? That's the 4th, the 13th, the 22nd, and the 31st. Now, I'm already hearing in your mind, well, what about that 11 and what about that 22? Well, I'm going to talk about that when it gets to master numbers, because I want to like touch upon some of these things with all of you so that you can get familiar and have fun with numerology. Okay. Then there's the number 5. Now, I want to let you know this. The number 5, the number 6, the number 7, the number 8, and the number 9. Those numbers only have in series, including the root digit, 3 numbers. Isn't that interesting? 4 of them, the first 4 numbers have 4 numbers, and then the other 5 numbers have 3. Very interesting, right? Now, so I mentioned 4, we just looked at. You got number 5, the root digit single number 5. Add 9 is 14. Add another number, 9, and that's 23. So that series is 5, 14, and 23. Well, what if you have the 6? You know that you're connected to a 6 vibration. Then you have 6, 15, and 24. See, what happens, you're not going to run out of the numbers in the month. All the calendar numbers are either 1 through 30 or 1 through 31. So you're not going to run out. And the root digit, the root single digit at any point is 1 through 9. So what if you're born on a 7 vibration? Calendar day 7, 16, and 25. What if you're born on a vibration of 8? 8, 17, and 26. And then the last number, vibration of 9, that's 9, 18, and 27. So those are the numbers, single digits with their series, right? And it's very important that you get familiar with at least the single digits and then later go into the compound digits, because they all have something that they mean, that they represent. And being that myself been tooling around for 48 years in this field, numbers talk. Numbers talk. And as a numerologist, and I teach all my students that when we're looking at numbers, these numbers talk to us. And we're a part of those numbers. We're using numbers all the time. You look at your clock, numbers. You look in your phone, not only is your phone giving you a clock in there, but also you look at your contacts. It'll tell you the number of contacts that you have in your phone that you've listed in your phone. What's going on now? You can go on your phone, you can go on the internet, and certain like social media apps, all of a sudden they're asking you, because you gave your phone number to sign up, all of a sudden it's asking you, do you want to find out your contacts? Oh, you got 300 some odd contacts. Numbers. You got 200 in your phone. You got 100, maybe 50 in your phone. But these things are talking. They're communicating. They look like they're alive. And I say that they are. That's just me. Okay. So all of these things have an energy, a frequency to them. And in the beginning, when you're looking at numbers, just like a person who is a student or practitioner, teacher of astrology, in the beginning at first, You just have some basic knowledge, some basic information. And as you progress, your what? Your understanding of the stars and the angles, all those things begin to add up. And since you got degrees are increments like increments of light, degrees are numbers, right? So you find astrologically, you'll see that there's numbers in a person's report or chart. When I do a chart or report or an analysis for somebody, depending on what they get into with me, maybe all they want to know is just their date of birth. So there's numbers there. Or some people just want to know about their name. There's numbers there. Every letter corresponds to a number. And there are like many systems of numerology. The Japanese have a nine star key system. There all the numbers are traveling. Hey there, McDonald, how you doing? I was just thinking about you a week or two ago. I'm glad you're here. So, you start seeing all of this, right? And you start just being aware. Now, Chinese got their system of numerology. They use hexagrams. The grams are 3 lines, right? And each gram is made up of 3 lines. They have that's the trigram, 3 grams. They have solid line and broken line. Okay, a solid line is a yang energy, male, masculine energy, and the broken line, meaning split in half, is the yin or feminine energy. One is not overpowering the other. When you put them all together, they actually have double trigrams. What I mean by that, the double trigram becomes a hexagram. And there's so many combinations. And if I'm not mistaken, there's 64 different combinations that mean something. That goes into the system called the I Ching or Yi Ching. I, which is the mind, Ching, way or change, okay, or energy. So that's a whole system to itself. There are people, long ago, I went into doing that too. You had to have I had to create sticks, and the sticks that I used were not lollipop sticks, ice ice popsicle sticks. When you ice pop on the stick, that like the miniature tongue depressor. So in wood, so I used to get 6 of them, and then what would happen was I painted them different colors. So you had, if I wanted all solids, then I'd have the solids. If I wanted all, whatever, I had that. But you had a way in which to do it in order to bring up the broken yin lines or solid lines, yang lines. Then you have something called gematria. And gematria takes you into understanding numbers and things. The Kabbalah system deals with something that's similar like that. There's so many different ways. So I don't want to go too far into that. But what I want to take you into is the fact that we need to understand numbers. Now, one day when I get further in this, give you some more basics, we'll look at a name. Okay. Could be just your first name or your middle name. Okay. When we do that, I have my analysis broken down on an index card where I can use either the Pythagorean, modern Pythagorean, or the modern Chaldean. Myself, I like to use the modern Chaldean system, alphabetical system. So let's say you or someone in your family is born on the 19th. One, just using basic numerology, we simply add 1 plus 9 is 10. And then we add those two. 1 plus 0 is 1. So anyone born on the 1, the 10th, the 19th, or the 28th in any month will have these kind of basic characteristics. First of all, the person will be an original thinker. In other words, they don't use somebody else's ideas and thoughts. They have their own. That means they are an independent thinker, an independent personality. They will only rely on themselves. They come into the world, they have a very strong will, and their mind is very powerful. They're always thinking all the time, they're analyzing, they're planning all the time. And one of the things about a number one person, they're natural born leaders. A number one person is a natural born leader. So if they're on a team, if they are working for a company, working on a team, they're the ones that's going to get out of the gate because they're thinking all the time. They're going to get out of the gate first. They're going to come out with some fresh, original ideas, and they're going to always shoot for the top. Number one person, you never find them sitting on second place, third rung, fourth rung. No, they're always trying to get to the top because they want to be a leader. They want to be a top-notch director, organizer. They want to be the president of their own company. They don't want to be a vice president. They're going to be a president. So they're very innovative thinkers. Okay. That's one of the good things about the number one person. The downside of that one, though, is a tendency to be too bossy, a little tyrannical, really pushing people's buttons. Sometimes, if they're angry about things, you're going to feel that anger. And it may not have anything to do with you, but they haven't processed the anger, so they carry it around with them. And if they see you and you look like you're engaging eye to eye, or they feel like you might be the listener, bam, they drop the anger out on your desk around you. So if you're number one person or know someone like that or been through that, you don't want to do that. Okay. Now, how about a number two? A number two is very interesting. That's born on the 2nd, the 11th, the 20th, as well as the 29th. Now, if it's just a root digit, I'm just looking at the number two. The number two person is very much the team player. They like getting together with other people. They like meeting new people. Ones like to meet new people too, but keep in mind, they're just meeting to see what they can learn, and then they go beyond, go past. Number two people, they're the team players. In fact, even numbered people are more of the team player. And in odd numbers, that's 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, the odd numbers, they would rather be alone out front. Some of them want to be behind the scenes. Certain ones will be behind. That's the sevens. They usually work behind the scenes. Nines can be behind the scenes or in front. Okay. So your even number 2, 4, 6, and 8. 2, 4, and 6, and 8. They're like your family. They're like your team oriented players. So they're involved in partnership. They're the team. They love partnering up with different people. That's their gift. But here's another side of the two. The twos are your peacemakers. So if you want somebody to settle the argument between people, you got to go seek out a number two. Number two will sit down and look at both sides of the coin. They're going to listen to your side and they're going to listen to the other person's side. And then they're going to try to piece it together where peace can take place. So twos are good at being the negotiator on a contract. Let's say for an agent, for a sports figure or a music figure, they're going to help you have a better deal in the contract, or they're not going to let you sign that contract. Okay, so they're going to make sure you're coming out really good in this situation. That's a two. Two usually sticks with details. That's very important. So they're going to nitpick a little bit. Number two, they're going to look at something over and over and make sure everything is lined up. Now, that means sometimes the two can be like a sleuth, right? Like a detective. They're looking at everything. Where one is just going to look at it and see where they fit in or where they don't fit in. Number two is, how can myself and my partner or my friends or my coworkers? How can we work together to make this thing pan out for all of us? Now, they're also, as I say, like the peacemaker, almost like an ambassador. So they would be a good representative. If you owned a company, they would be the ideal representative for your company, because they're going to go out there and they're going to bring the masses in. Yet they're going to pay attention to how the people are, because they're going to be a little picky. Then there's the number three. A number three person has the gift of gab, the gift of talk. All right. Number threes can be childlike, but they're serious people. They're childlike, but serious people. Sometimes they need more rest than others. They can be a little nervous at times. But once they start getting the ball rolling, they take off. Okay. And they enjoy telling a good story, or being a good prankster, or being on the end of a prank. They don't get mad. Usually they're very competitive. So if you prank a number three person, watch your back because they're going to find a way to get back at you with a prank. And what's good about them is a good natured prank. They won't do something to embarrass you. That's not enough. That's not in the nature of the three, because they like joy, laughter, entertainment, things of that nature. Here's another thing about a three too. They make great hosts and hostesses. So if they invite you to a party, I don't care if it's indoor, outdoor, formal, or informal, they're going to make sure your plate is full. They're going to make sure your favorite drink that you're drinking is full, not half, full glass. You're having dessert, you're going to have to sample all the desserts. Why? Because they're there to make sure everybody has a good time. And what's so great about threes, they're like the party animals of the group. They're the socialites of the group. So they seem to know everybody, and everybody knows them. You might go to the party not knowing maybe one or two people. Don't worry. If that number three person knows you and they personally invited you, they know your likes and dislikes in terms of people as well. So they will throw a party and go like, the person goes, well, I don't know anybody. They'll say, well, who do you know? And they'll start rattling off some names. Oh, that person's on my list. Oh, this person's on my list. So hey, I'll have you all sit at the same table. That's the nature of three. They want everybody to be relaxed, everybody to have a great time. Now, what about a number four person? Well, here's another thing about threes. They're very creative. So you might find them dealing with things like photography, art, painting, music, dance. Now, what about the number four? Well, four is the number of orderliness and simplicity and a methodical thought process. But here's another phrase that kind of fits number four. And I remember when I worked as an artist, part owner of a photography studio many years ago. My partner was a number four person, and he was this phrase that he'd use all the time. I marched to the beat of a different drummer. Well, so did I, because I'm number seven. So we kind of linked. But his thing was, there's a method to my madness. He would always say that. And that's what a four does. The four may look like they're all over the place, disorganized, don't have a clue what's going on, but they've been cool and calculating the whole time. They've been looking at people, situations, big projects, little projects. What's the weather is like outside? They know all of this. They're like a homegrown computer. They're constantly adding up figures, subtracting figures, dates, personalities, you name it. That's what a four does. And four likes dealing with anything that's tangible as well. So you can find a four in a bank. You can find a four dealing with like this stuff called Bitcoins and NFTs. You'll find them dealing with that. Stocks and bonds, you'll find them dealing with things of that nature. Properties, surveillance, they'll be doing that too. And they will be like the person that goes out into the field and looks at property. You can go to the vital statistic office or property and deeds. There'll be a four in there. They like all that stuff. They also like computers. They also like inventing. They're another personality like the one. They like to invent stuff. So that's the nature of the four. They want to be different. You can't pinpoint them. You can't bring them down on something. I mean, I should say this a little better. If you want to get a yes out of a number four person, phrase your question so it sounds like a no coming from you. If you want to get a no out of them, phrase it like it's a yes, your question. Then you get always the right answer from them. Now, this doesn't mean that they're trying to be the militant person in front of you. They have their own world. Now, four I call is a part of what I call the old soul trilogy. There are three numbers that are old souls. These same three numbers are considered eccentric kind of people, different people. Sometimes they can have weird humor, odd humor, and humor that you don't understand, but they get it. In other words, they could watch a fantasy movie, a sci-fi movie, a horror movie, and see some of the strangest and oddest things, but they get it. They're very good at puzzles. Well, those three numbers are the four, the seven, and the eight. Four, seven, and the eight. That's what you need to remember. So if you have a partner at home that's one of those numbers, calendar day, birthday numbers, you got to watch how you talk to them. You got to watch what you say. 9 times out of 10, which is a phrase I like to use, is they know what you told them, but their mind was someplace else. And when they're to themselves, then they gather. They're able to sit down when they're quieter and gather the facts, replay in their mind what you said to them and also how you said it. And they might even tell you what you wore that day when you said it to them. So that's the nature of that, those numbers, old soul numbers, four, seven, and eight. Well, how about a number five? Five are the freedom seekers. Five love speed. Five is articulate. They love communication. Five will go out and do the research like a four, but they'll do the research like a two. But when they bring in all that information, they try to bring the facts that are pertinent and to the point. In other words, if you're asking them about, hey, especially if, here's the number five. Number fives work well with the news media. So say you're in a news facility, you would want them to go in the micro files and look for past history, past events, or past individuals that were in trouble with the law or something like that. And they'll find it. Then they'll bring to you the most pertinent information, the most update, the patterns of information or events, so you can see clearly who the person is that you had them research or the event. Fives like to do things fast. Sometimes they skip a lot of facts too, but they do their best to bring you all the information because that's what they like to do. And they like speed. So they can get bored easily, just like a number three person and a number seven. These are the odd numbers: 1, 3, 7, and 9. They can get, and the five, they can get bored very easily. So if you invite them to an event, got to give them something that'll stimulate the mind. What would do it? Chess, checkers, all kind of games, solving a puzzle. Why? Because they intend to master that thing that's in front of them. That's what they're good at doing. So fives love freedom and communication. Also, here's the nature. Five, like similar to a number three person, sometimes they use up so much energy that they get tired and literally kind of blow themselves out. Here's another thing about the five. Five is very useful in their appearance. Say that again. Five is youthful in their appearance. So you might see a number five person and they tell you, yeah, I'm 60 years old. Yeah, I'm 70 years old. And you look at them, they don't move around like a 70-year-old person. Their mind is sharp. They talk fast. and they're burning you out because they got a lot of energy and they don't look their age. So on paper, they could be 75, they could be 86. They don't look their age. They can, this is when you can see some of them, especially when they're younger, and then they tell you, and then you find out, oh my God, you don't look like you're 40, you look like you're 15. And you've met some people that have high pitched voices too. They sound like they're children, but they're not children, they're adults. So fives are this youthful kind of energy. Now I mentioned the old soul numbers 4, 7, and 8. Well, they could look younger too, but they got that ancient kind of energy around them. And so 4, 7, and 8 people will always attract people older than themselves that they get along with. This means when they were growing up as children, they were always hanging around earshot range of the adults and grandparents and older siblings. Why? Because they felt more comfortable there. They didn't feel comfortable with their peers who are on the same age level that they are. Fives, though, and here's another number that's equivalent to that five, is the number six. A number six person is also very youthful looking for their age. Six people, they love family, they love to be a responsible person, they love love itself. Some might be battling with self love, low self esteem. So they have to kind of boost that energy. But six people, they make the best friends. They're loyal to a T. Now, if something goes wrong with the relationship, either they're kicking you out or they get out. That's what you got to know about a six person. They're loyal to a T in a friendship and a relationship. However, or business partnership. But if something is funky about that partnership, be it romantic, marital, business, friends, either they're getting out or they're kicking you out. No, one of you is not staying any longer in that kind of situation. That's the nature of a six. But they're very parental. So some six parents will hover over their children a little too much, and their children can be very independent of them or desire to be independent of them, but sometimes the parent is holding on too long. Now here's something else about a six that you need to know. They are basically health conscious people. They are health conscious people. They may switch diets, they may switch food regimens. Also, something about them is they really enjoy luxury items or things that look luxurious, which means they could go out to a flea market and barter for the best price, the best material, and so forth, because they understand how to do that. Why? Because they've seen it done in their life. They've seen it with a parent that does that. That's the nature of six. So they like family setting. If they grew up in a big family, they're going to want to get married later and have a big family or adopt children into their life. That's the six. Whether it's man or woman, they have that parental vibration going on with them. And they love to be in service. They love to help other people. Very rarely they don't like it, but they love it. Then here's the seven. Like I said, the seven belongs to the old soul trilogy 4, 7, and 8. Very eccentric, want to be to themselves. Seven, more so than anybody, wants to be to themselves all the time. Four can be hanging out with a small group or a large group, and eights will hang out with a large group. But sevens, they hang out and then they come home. That's their nature. And if they're out with a big group, they're going to find a group that doesn't know anything about them, so they feel in like in the safety net. Okay, they don't have to engage unless they want to with a huge crowd, but they found their area, their circle, and in there they have commanded that space. So to them, it feels very much a lonely or quiet space. Now, here's what you need to know. They love being alone, but what's going on with them? They are exploring their level of intuition. They're exploring their psychic nature. They're exploring alternative health situations. They're very good into the mind. So you'll find them reading some good books. It could be sci-fi books, thriller books, detective-oriented books, medical books, science books. You name it, they're in it. They may not look like they're doing it, but they're in it. They're in the crystals, all that stuff. That's their nature. So is four. So does eight. Basically, all the numbers are kind of like that. Everybody has what is of interest to them. But sevens go as deep as they can. They don't pretend to be the master of anything, but they keep going deeper. To you, you can look at them and say, oh, that person has mastered a lot with that subject matter. But to the seven, they just still scrape into different layers. They're trying to get to the bottom of the situation. They're trying to find where it's expanded and what makes it work. They're trying to do all of that. Now, threes were the creative people. Six is also creative. And the next number after that is seven is creative. Also, number nine is also very creative. But seven is that old soul kind of number. They're like the prayerful warriors. Okay. Then you got the number eight. Eight finishes out the old trilogy, four, seven, eight of the old soul, always attracting friends that are much older than themselves or someone that could be their age or younger. They're just very mature. So eight is the one who respects all traditions. Oral tradition, written tradition, history, that's their thing. They respect it. So you can find a number eight person that's into religion, they respect traditional religion. But here's the flip side. They also respect non-traditional stuff too. So they'll delve into something that's totally opposite. So they could be in a family that's very religious, where the mother and father were ministers. Well, the children get on that same path, but somewhere down the line, they start exploring all these other paths. Why? Because they want to understand how they all work together. The eight, for sure, like the seven and the four, they don't believe that there's only one way. They know that there are more than one ways in which to worship, the prayer, you name it. Eight is like that. Eight is also very good with handling money. Most eights do. In fact, research, if you look it up, the wealthy people, a lot of them were born on a day that added to 8, 8, 17, 26, or 6, 15, and 24. A lot of the wealth is in those numbers. Okay. They also will delve into the past. They also like positions of power and authority. That's the nature. The only thing about the eight is they should not get hung up in depressive thinking. That's the same with the seven and the same with the four. And those three numbers, four, seven, and eight, should do their best not to become addicted to drugs and alcohol, because then it just takes them out on a completely different level. Some it takes a long time to return. The last number is a nine. That's the series again. 9, 18, and 27. Nine represents completion, bringing something to a close. Nine is understanding how to reach for higher goals, create higher standards. Nines are the warriors. They can be the physical and they can be the mental warrior. Okay, that's the nature of nine. All right, they see things, they see the dreams, they understand the dreams, and they strive in putting them together. All right. That's the nature of nine. Nine could be the leaders. But here's the number nine. Nine, just like the sign Pisces, represents like all the other zodiac signs together, like the sun sign energy, all the other signs. Nine is all the other numbers rolled in to the nine. In fact, if you look at the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, if you take the pairs, okay, if you take the numbers at the end, so in this case, we've got nine and we put a zero back there because the zero is like the matrix, the womb. Zero plus nine is nine. One plus eight is nine. Two plus seven is nine. See? 3 plus 6 is 9. 4 plus 5 is 9. All of those numbers are different shades, different angles, different aspects of the nine itself. Nine can be your warriors. Eights can be your warriors too. But what eights wind up doing is they fight for the person who can't fight for themselves. Seven will be back there as the healer. Six will be back there as the family, the parent, the educator. Five will be back there trying to do what? Maintain freedom for everybody. Four will do one, think outside the box. Three is going to do what? Be very creative, very conscientious. That's important, and make sure everybody's having a great time. Two is going to be the partner. They're going to be the contractors. They're going to be the person making agreements, maintaining peace. And what one is going to do, one is going to want to be the leader. But here's another thing: one will have to vie for that attention as a leader from a number nine. So they're not in opposition to each other, they're just different sides of each other. So that's what I wanted to bring you today. This is the basics of numerology. And next week, I'm going to take you through the personal year number, how to find that and how to get to it. Also, again, today's topic was called You Are More Than Just a Few Names. Is it possible you have a number two? That was the whole concept, to introduce you to some basic aspects of numerology. I hope you had a great time. I hope you enjoyed it. Next week, I'll try to get here at 1 o'clock instead of 1:30, but I had a little internet issue going on in the area. So we're dealing with a lot of just stuff, from brush fires to, in my area, sometimes the internet connections are not as strong, especially when it comes to Wi-Fi activity. So I hope you enjoyed this segment. I'll see you next week. Take good care of yourself. Today's the second, see, calendar day two. So this was good for people getting together, right? Excellent time. So take good care of yourselves. My grace is your grace. I'll see you here live on Resident Essentials YouTube channel with my segment, Clear Blue Radiance. I'm the host, Brother Francis Revels-Bey. Until next time, remember that divine grace is a blessing as we are live and well in the age of remembrance. And I look forward to seeing you next week. If you have any questions, you can leave them here and I'll come back and answer them. You can also email me at iam.circleofgrace1@gmail.com. If you are part of the Resident Essentials, the group on YouTube, you can leave a question for me there as well and put my name in, and I'll be right there to answer. Take good care of yourself. Thank you for listening.